Hello lovelies, Dr. Mayeds here. Today we're revising paper 2. It's not really solving video because it wasn't asked as much as a quick revision video. So this is what we're doing today. I apologize for uploading this late, but I tried to find a suitable time for me to record this video as soon as possible, and this is the only time I can record this. So accept my humble apologies. Let's start by revising the graphs. Starting by line graph. So what do we do? Of course, you should label the axis. Make key if you need to make key. Okay? Point to point connection, unless they asked you, unless it's best fit. The question told you best fit. I'm gonna show you how best fit looks like. And connect the points correctly, plot the points correctly. Linear scaling of axis and correct plotting. Okay, these are your rules. Must. Okay, let's take a look how it will look like. This is your line, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Remember it by dy. D is the dependent and y is the axis. Okay. Ix, this is the independent. Independent means the changeable factor. Like for instance, we got to change the concentration of fertilizers in the soil. That's the changeable part, in which the dependent will be affected, or the length of the plant will be affected. Okay, so the independent, the changeable, and this is the changed or the affected. Let's just write it affected by the change. Okay, this is how it should be plotted. You take one point, connect it to the other, point to point. This is called point to point. Okay, but if it was best fit, then you're just taking one point and connect it to the other. You can connect as much as you can, but just put it in the middle, just like that. Okay, that's a best fit. Make a key. If they gave you two sets of data and they asked you to make a key, this is what you're gonna do. Here's your key. Okay, you got, for instance, we're talking about death rate and birth rate. Okay, now in death rate, you're gonna say that your line is gonna be lagged, this line, and birth rate is gonna be a straight line with no any interruptions. This is how we're gonna do it. If you're plotting, okay, like that, and you got another one like here, you're gonna say that this one is the death rate, and again point to point. Okay, and the other one is like this. Nice. Now when you plot your points, you should plot them x. This is the preferred one. You can also plot it point and it's in a circle, but this is the least preferred one, so stick to x. Okay. In the line, in this one, I gave you just another example order to differentiate. Okay, but you can also go ahead and just make it across. Okay, removing this and just making it across. It's gonna be okay. As long as you can differentiate between the lines, and you already made a key, so it's okay which way you're gonna plot your points. It doesn't really matter. Okay, that was line graph. Let's go for bar chart. Your rules. What are your rules? Let's take a look. Label axis. Make key if you need to make key. Linear scaling. What do I mean by linear scaling? You're gonna get a table, okay? For instance, your data, and here you got years, okay? This is the year. This is the important thing I want to discuss. So you got 2020, okay? Then 2025, then 2028, then 2030. You see here we jumped 5 years, in here we jumped 3 years, in here we jumped 2 years. It's not linear, okay? On the graph, you're not gonna do this. You're gonna say 2020 and then 2025 and then 2028. You're not gonna get the marks. This is wrong. You're going to do it linearly. If your least number of years is 2 years gap, you can make it 2 years. Or you just can make it 5, like 2020, and then 2022, then 24, then 26. Okay, you can keep going that way. If you can't, you can just make it 4, like 2020, 2024, like that. If you can't, then make it 2025. Okay? Alright, this is what I mean by linear scaling. It's gonna be easier and simpler in bar charts compared to that of line, but just in case you got this, please keep it equal on your scale. Your linear scaling should be linear. Linear, the same thing. Like we increased here 5 years, 5 years. If you're gonna increase by 2 years, go for it. 3 years, it's okay. As long as it's linear and they are the same. Okay. After we make the key and the linear scaling, you're going to shade the bar. The bars should be equal width and equal spaces between the bars. Like how? This is your x-axis and y-axis, y and x. First, some people will ask me, 100% I'm sure, you're gonna ask me, if you can leave space here, or if you should just connect the bars. It's preferred to leave a space, okay, like this part, we're leaving this much space, and then we're plotting our first bar. It's preferred this way. But if you want to stick it, that's fine. But I wouldn't recommend sticking it. Anyways, we got the bar. It's 1 box width. So I'm going to leave 1 box. And then plot my second bar. And then again, equal spacing, 1 box. And then plot the third bar. And this is how it goes. This is how you shade it. Okay. Don't shade it completely. There's no need for that. Just shade it by diagonal lines. Alright? Histograms. Histograms. It's the same thing here. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate this and put it here. These are your rules, but it's gonna be equal width with no equal spaces. Okay? It's not gonna be equal spaces. What do I mean by that? Your histogram should look like this is the X and this is the Y. It should be like this. Again, you can connect the bars. Bars are easier to connect than histogram. It's okay, like there's no a lot of confusion on that part. You can either connect it to your y-axis or just leave a space. Like this. Anyways, your bars should stick together. They should be the same width, but they should stick together. Like this. Okay? And again, shade. If they gave you 2 sets of data, like you need 2 sets, you can make a key. And your key, let's make it another color. Your key, here, they asked you again for death and birth. You can make it. Death is like this, and birth is just a blank one. How are we gonna plot it? we're gonna plot, let's make it the same color so it would be similar to the exam setting. Death could be like this, and then birth can be like this, and then go ahead, death, and then birth, okay, and then death, and then birth. This part I'm talking about like 1 year, like this is 2021, and this part is 2022, okay, this is what it means. Similarly in the bars, if they gave you like this, let's delete everything. Okay, the bars, you got this death, make your key, death is going to be shaded, and birth is going to be the blank one. So death, you can make it shaded, and then the bars for birth is going to be blank, leave equal spaces, and then again death, and then birth. This is how you go, okay? This is how you do it if you got more than one set of data. Nice. We spoke about histograms. Next we got pie chart. Now pay close attention to this because this comes with 4 marks like the other graphs. But these 4 marks, you should never lose a single mark in them. I can forgive you if you forgot anything in the past graphs, but in pie chart, I'm not gonna forgive you and I'm gonna hunt you down. You got your circle, okay? Pie chart, they always have key. Always, forever. So first, number 1 is key. Number 2, label your axis. Why am I saying label your axis? Not all circles, they're gonna provide the labeling on them, okay? Some circles, they might start by 0 and give you these things and let you label it, okay? So make sure it's labeled. Label your axis, make your key, and plot your lines. Okay, here's how we're gonna plot our data. In plotting your data, either follow the table given, okay, or make it from big to small. Remember it as BTS. It's labeled, it's not perfect, but I'm just gonna give you overall idea. Anyways, they're talking about types of fuels used, for instance, okay? So we're talking here, this is the key, and they told you that you got in a table, they drew you a table over here, told you got different types of fuels like fossil fuels, you got oil, you got natural gas, you got whatever, okay? You're gonna make your key. You got your fossil fuels, you got natural gas, you got oil. Nice? Now, this is how I'm gonna plot them. You can do stars, you can do heart, do whatever you want to do. As long as you follow the key, everything's gonna be okay. Anyways, I like to leave mine blank at the last. Fossil fuels, for instance, was something like 20. Natural gas was 60. Then oil was the rest. Another 20. Okay? Now I'm giving easy numbers so you can follow up with me. This was the sequence in the table. We started by fossil fuels, then next was natural gas, and last was oil. What you can do here is you can either start by fossil fuels and follow that exact same pattern, or you can start by natural gas since it's the biggest, and then go for fossil fuels and oil. Okay? Let me make it a little bit different. Make fossil fuels 21 and make this 19. Okay? So, I'm gonna show you how to do it. How do we plot? We do it clockwise, from left to right. I'm gonna move like this. Okay? Start at the middle, 0. Does not, yeah. This is more like middle. This is your midpoint. you start in the middle and go your 60. That's from big to small, okay? Go to 60. Then now follow your key. You said that natural gas was dotted, then make it a dot, okay? Polka dotted. Then the second in line is fossil fuels. So we're gonna do it this way. It's 81. How do we find this? You're gonna add 60 plus 21. It's gonna be 81. Okay? In order to find your second data. Then you're going to then you're following your key. So you're gonna make it like this. This is fossil fuels. And lastly is oil. What you do not want to do is following the key and then labeling in the pie, like doing this, saying that this is natural gas, saying this is fossil fuels. No, don't do this. It's not accepted. You're defying the point of key. Key is there to not make it messy and to follow it, like to follow the data without making it messy, okay? What you do not want to do is not making a key at the side, but not following it and labeling inside, saying that this is natural gas, this is fossil fuels, and this is oil. Wow. What was the use of your key then? Okay? Please follow your key. That was method number 1, by moving from big to small. Method number 2 is following exactly what the table is saying. Go for fossil fuels. Got 21. So you start in the middle. You move clockwise this way. And then follow your key. This was for your fossil fuels. And then it was this part. Okay? This is gonna be oil. This part's gonna be oil, but I'm not gonna shade it or anything because I left it blank. And then was natural gas. So you make your dots. Okay, your polka dots. Nice. It's easy. It's right, okay? These questions come 4 to 5 marks. Please don't lose any marks in them. Okay? Next is calculations. What do you need to know about calculations? The most important ones: mode, mean or average, and range. Range is the highest value minus the lowest value. Mode is the repeated number. Okay, like for instance, you got 2, 3, 2, 2, 4, 6, 2, 5. Okay, so what is mode here? Mode is the digit 2. Mean average, it's the total number of values, like 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 2 plus 5, divided by the number of values. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Divided by 8. Okay? You have to know the percentage difference. And it's new value minus old value over old value multiplied by 100. We're talking about the repeated questions. When they ask describe, and they tell you to describe, you're just describing. So you're just stating the obvious. And what do I mean by obvious? I mean like the picture. If they give you a picture, the table or graphs by trends. What do I mean by this? Let me give you an example because you love examples. Let's see. If I gave you a set of data, okay, and I told you this is the time, the year, okay, it doesn't matter. And I told you the population, the number of population, okay, or the percentage of population. I gave you a trend that looks like this, and I told you describe the trend, and I got you like 3 marks, okay? First thing, you're gonna say that overall, you find an increase in population, okay? The trend is going this way, right? You're gonna say that there was fluctuation. Fluctuation happened. Where was that fluctuation? Let's change this to make it the ugly green. You see the fluctuation here, okay? This is a fluctuation. You're going to say it increased at one point and then decreased and then increased again, then decreased and then increased, okay? So you're just going to sum it up by saying fluctuation. Then you're gonna state the highest value or the highest population point or highest population percentage it was in this year. You're gonna find this year. You're gonna say that it peaked at whatever year. Okay? You got your 3 marks. 4th mark is gonna be about data comparison or just stating data. What do I mean by this? By saying it in first increase or the steepest increase was during, for instance, this part. What do I mean by steep, by the way? By steep, the closer the line is to the y-axis, the steepest it is. So line A is steeper than line B. So this is less steep, okay? So this part compared to this part, you're gonna do it like this in order to be able to compare. Draw an imaginary axis here so that you can compare the steepness of the line. You find that this part, A part, is steeper than P. So you're gonna say that the steepest line or the steepest area was from this year to this year. Let's say it was 1920 to 1980, for instance. Okay? This was your steepest region. Now this is called data comparison or stating the data or comparative data, whatever. Okay? That was described. They gave you a picture. They gave you a volcano over here. And you see the ashes out there. You see that there are homes in here. Like this is in the back, okay? This is very distant. And so you see homes. Now they're going to tell you, describe the picture. You're going to say that there is a volcano, ashes. You're going to say that there's settlements. There might be shanty. Settlements, shanty means like the living standards there are low. The buildings are made of poor quality. It's illegal to live in that area. So, okay? So you're going to say that the areas there are buildings, but they're shanty buildings. You're going to say that there are ashes coming up from that volcano. This area is dangerous. You're going to describe the roads if there are any. You're going to describe the people if there are any. You're just describing exactly what you're seeing in the picture. You're not using your brain. You're not using your knowledge. Now, that was a description. If they asked you to explain, so whatever reason you gave, like the description part, description plus explanation. Okay? Similarly, it was explain or suggest. Why is it bold? Because that's the term you get in paper 2 the most. They're going to ask you to suggest. What are you seeing? Suggest the reasons. Suggest whatever. Like for instance, if they told you in this question, suggest why people are living there. Okay? Or suggest what you're seeing in the picture. Just suggest. You're going to say that there's people living here. The ugly green again. People are living here. Why people might live there? Because of fertile lands. They don't have anywhere to go. High living costs. It's expensive to leave their homes. They're attached to their homes. More job opportunities because it's a touristic area at this point since volcanoes are nearby. You're gonna say that they trust the preparation of government. Any point, okay? That's suggestion. So you're describing what you're seeing. You said that you see houses there and buildings, and then you're describing why they might be there. You need to know the study techniques or the study systems. You got 2 main parts. You got systematic and you got the random. Systematic, you go by a system. Ugh, my pen died. Anyways, you're using transect, you're using quadrats, you're using a measuring tape, okay? And these are the main 3 things you're going to use. So what is the measuring tape here used for? The measuring tape is the tape you place, and then based on that, you place your transect, okay? So you're measuring exactly, like for instance, we got a huge land in front of you, and you want to measure this area, for instance. Systematic. Systematic causes bias. Why? Because you can find this area, it has too many trees and this area has low. So you're gonna choose that area because it got more trees, more samples. Anyways, when you do it, you're gonna place your measuring tape and place your transect on top, okay? Then you're gonna place the quadrats on the transect. You're gonna place the quadrats of equal intervals. Another mark to say here, the quadrats, you can say that each quadrat is 2 meters square. Set this, okay? Set it. This is a set thing you're gonna say in your answer. Choose 2 meters squared quadrat. And then place it for instance, every 5 meters. The distance here should be, for instance, 5 meters. You can set these numbers, okay? Any number you want. That means systematic. So it's system. You're going with a system. You know exactly what you're doing. The distance are equal overall, okay, in your test. On the contrary is random. Random, you use your transect, you use your quadrats. Again, you're going to say that your quadrat is 2 meters square or 3 meters square or 1 meter square. And you place it randomly on land. How do you use your part of land? You're going to say you use either generator or you're going to say label parts of the lands, okay? Then put them on paper and put it randomly in a hat and randomly select a paper. And based on that paper, you're going to select your land. Okay? That's random sampling. You're going to place your quadrats in the areas that were selected randomly using generator or the hat. And then you're going to see and record the species. Now, for both these, okay, you're going to say quadrats. Use a quadrat, use a transect. Your quadrats should be of 1 or 2 meters square. You set the number. Then you're going to say record the number or the types of species in each quadrat, depending on the question. If they ask you the number of trees or if they ask you the type of flower species, could be dandelions or whatever. So you're going to say record your data in a table or tally chart, repeat and take average. Okay? That was the study technique. You got pilot study. It came before in a question, but it's not really important. What is pilot study? Pilot study is a study that a researcher does or a test. They do a small test on small scale and then repeat that test on larger scale by taking into consideration the feedback. Like for instance, you got a teacher, like myself. I want to try a new educational method, okay? So I take 10 students, only 10 students. I use 10 students to teach them that new educational method. And then, based on their feedback, I will collect all their feedbacks from surveys or from listening to their opinions, but surveys, okay? From survey. Based on the survey, this one, I'm going to repeat the same educational method, but with the improvements I received or the criticism I received from the students, and again repeat it on 100 students. That's pilot. Why is this a good idea? It's a good idea because you improve, less risks are there, more feedback, more reliability and accuracy, quick survey or a test that is done before a big test. When the question asks you to only write, like for instance, write 2, and it's going to be bold, okay? 2 environmental impacts of burning or using fossil fuels. You're going to say 1 and 2 only. Count the points of pollution as 1 mark. When you say pollution, whether it's noise, whether it's water pollution, whether it's air pollution, whether it's visual pollution, any types of pollution, in paper 2, they're counted as only 1 mark. So don't write noise pollution here and write visual pollution here. You won't take the mark, okay? You can write pollution, then you can write habitat loss. When you mention habitat loss, if they gave you like a 3-mark question, paper 2, talking about deforestation or something, mention habitat loss and the 2 sisters. Habitat loss causes loss in biodiversity and genetic depletion. You see these first 2 pages? These carry hints. They really do carry hints, okay? They told you that Mexico is a country that reserves minerals and oils. They're extracted, okay, and exported. So they count on them for income to improve the economy. They told you they got poor soils, so they need more fertilizers, more whatever. They got limited agricultural yields, so they import crops. They might import crops. Tourism is important for the economy. They give you the population. They give you the area, because in some questions they might not give you the area and the population and ask you to calculate it. Okay? Be careful. Question like this one. It says suggest one biotic. So write only one biotic or one abiotic. Don't write two like I did here or more. I just wrote it for you to know. But only write one, like pH only. Write producer only, okay? Pictures and passages. They give you details and give you hints to your answers. This question, they might come, they told you your hint in this question was marine mammals need to come to the surface in order to breathe, okay? Take this as a hint, whatever question that comes next, then you're gonna say it. When they say compare, you will have to write both parts. You're gonna write how they're similar and how they're different. If in a question how deforestation affects the environment, you can talk about positive impacts and negative impacts, and it's preferred to talk about both. You can say deforestation causes loss of habitat, loss of biodiversity, genetic depletion, pollution, okay? Increase in carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas causing global warming, and yada yada. And the other part, you can say that it's good because timber extraction, that's going to improve the economy. What is timber? Timber is the bark that's extracted from the trees so we can make furniture and export it. This also improves the infrastructure, job opportunities, any point, okay? So you talk about both parts. If you found these questions where you can talk about both advantages and disadvantages, do not hesitate for a second to write both sides. Questions like this one. If they gave you a diagram and they asked you to use the diagram, please make sure that you write every single label in your answer. They gave you treatment sewage, outdoor sewage, precipitation, domestic, groundwater, ocean. You should write all of these annotations in your answer. This is a question talking about systematic sampling technique. Take a look at this. This is the one I explained earlier. Now, the repeated or the same answers you're going to write for the random as well as record the table in tally chart or in table. Record the data in table or tally chart. Repeat at different times, repeat at different seasons. Just repeat and take average or find the estimate. You're also going to mention that the quadrats should be of specific size, like the 1 meter square. Now see how many marks you gained. You gained the 4 marks without even explaining the process, but you should explain the technique. That was it for paper 2 revision. Hopefully it was sufficient. What I'm going to ask you to do during these 2 days, I want you to solve today, and you can also solve tomorrow. But I prefer the night before the exam, you can just revise your topics, revise your mistakes. Take a look on solved exams. If you can't solve exams or you can't find solved exams, then just open on one side, open the question paper. On the other side of the screen, open the mark scheme. Okay? Where you read the question and take a look at the answer. Read the question, take a look at the answer. I don't want you to use that too much energy before the exam. I want you to use that same energy and using your brain cells in the exam. Ask questions. I'm available all time. Ask in the comments or contact me on Telegram, whether privately or in the discussion group. It's okay. And keep on practicing. Keep on practicing and you got this. That was it for today's session. Thank you all for watching.